Hello, welcome back to Howhaven. This is part 2 of Top 5 Tips to Getting Vaccinated Quick. If you haven't already seen part 1, simply go to the Howhaven channel and look under the videos section. Let's continue with step 2 of the top 5 tips to getting vaccinated quick. If you find you're not getting results through a phone call, or you're simply more into applying online, you may have several options to choose from if you do, which is certainly better than being limited to the wait-and-see phone call option. Some people have success applying on their mobile phone or tablet. I tried it on my iPad a number of times, and it didn't seem much different than doing it on my laptop. So you may have the same success on a smaller cell phone screen, but that depends on what site you're applying on. Employer-provided scheduling. Depending upon the size and type of your business, this may either be by phone or through a website portal. Since your employer already has your information on file, some of the information may already be populated if you're directed to an online pre-vaccination screening and appointment site. But that's not always the case, and you may have to start from scratch. State, county, or local government online registration systems. Each government organization may use different registration systems to manage both registration and vaccine appointment scheduling. Online systems like VAMS, PodMed, or similar are in use nationwide. Hospital groups and healthcare systems. In some cases, you may have to be a patient of an area healthcare system to be able to access the registration and appointment setting online portal of your area healthcare system or its partners. One good thing about this is they may have their own vaccination portal, which may already have included your contact information. This may save you some steps in completing your vaccination screening and getting your appointments scheduled. Pharmacies. Although pharmacies can sometimes be impersonal, there's a lot of them across the country. This fact may offer you a more local destination to get your vaccine. And we're not just talking about nationwide pharmacy chains. There are many small business pharmacies around the country who also have developed great personal relationships with the people in the communities they serve. Either way, it's another option you may want to consider if you find this is the easiest way to get your vaccine dose. There may be other unique and creative programs offered out there by forward-thinking communities. One example I recently interviewed was a small town that combined the resources of several different private and public organizations in their city to proactively identify, contact, and vaccinate senior citizens with mobility issues right in their own homes. Shout out to the Visiting Nurses Association across the country. I plan a future video about that city named Long Branch and the Public Housing Authority there, where this occurred with overwhelming success. Tip number 3, be persistent. Be persistent. Be persistent. Okay, this one is mainly about what's going on in your brain. Is it frustrating? Yes. Is it stressful? Absolutely. But let's be real. We're talking about your life here and the lives of the ones you love, right? If you look at it from that perspective and also recognize the last time people all over the world did this was 100 years ago, it may be a little bit easier to swallow. So maybe the next 100 years will pass by before you have to do this again, right? Oh, did I mention be persistent? Tip number 4, be ready for the road trip. Yeah, the appointment. Be prepared before you arrive at your vaccination appointment site. Double or triple check that you have all the paperwork to bring to your appointment, such as acceptable ID, your vaccination authorization document, the one provided by the same appointment site used to schedule the first appointment. You wouldn't want to accidentally select a different brand of vaccine for your second dose than you took for your first dose, just because of misplaced paperwork. So hold on to those docs in a safe place. You will want the paperwork to line up with their records, and if they can't find their records, having your paperwork with you will avoid being turned away when you actually arrive at the site for your second dose. This might not seem like a big deal, but are you willing to risk wasting your time to test that theory? Right. No docs could mean no dose. Bring a mask. Some places will not admit you to the vaccination area unless you're wearing a mask. And let's be honest, Isn't safety the reason you're there to get the vaccine? Bringing a mask is super important because you won't want to go through all the steps to get there only to get bumped out of line over this one simple task. So just bring a mask. And it doesn't hurt to have a backup, so bring 2 or more. Okay, let's not overdo it though. Tip number 5. Schedule your second vaccination as soon as possible. How quickly you can set your second vaccination appointment may directly depend on the method you used to apply for your first appointment. If you made a telephone appointment for your first dose, you may be able to schedule your second dose at the vaccination location of your first appointment. If you scheduled your first dose online, you may have to go back online after your first dose appointment is over before you can schedule your second dose. Again, this depends on the appointment setting method you're going to use. If you've chosen a vaccine that requires a second dose, and if you're not required to file your second dose appointment online, you may also have the option to get your second dose vaccine appointment while you're at the location of your first appointment. If you can, get your second appointment scheduled while you're there. Don't put it off for another time. That is, unless you prefer to find yourself waiting again like you did in step 1, behind hundreds, if not millions of people to get your second appointment. Remember, this is time sensitive. There's a certain number of days that are optimum for getting the second dose vaccine. Although Dr. Fauci has said publicly that waiting a week or 2 behind the recommended time frame is okay, do you really want to experience the same worry and stress, wondering if you'll get that appointment scheduled in time? Would you like to be revisited by the ghostly specter of step 1? Right. I don't think so. So after you've scheduled your second dose, when it arrives, be sure to repeat tip number 4 just before you leave the door. So let's recap your top 5 tips for snagging that vaccine appointment quick. Tip 1. Pre-register and pre-plan. Tip 2. Apply using multiple methods. Tip 3. Be persistent. Tip 4. Be ready for the road trip. Tip 5. Schedule dose 2 ASAP. That's the top 5 tips to getting vaccinated quick. Hey, recently medical experts and government leaders are now saying they'll streamline the process to make it easier to become vaccinated in the coming weeks. Let's hope that's true. Until then, I hope these top 5 tips help you to make it happen sooner rather than later. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button below and also subscribe to the channel.